which will be distracting for anyone who wants me to be in exactly the same place. Alas, not going to happen. So, my name's Nick, we're going to tell a story. Well, I'm going to tell a story, you're going to help me because obviously one person couldn't possibly tell a story. That would be madness. However, I require volunteers of different sorts. The way this is going to work is I have two books, and I'm going to give those books to people, and they're going to give me random words and phrases when I need them, because I've run out of ideas, or I need some weird shit to happen. I also need someone to take notes, because this is my attempt at handwriting. That says Ersatz Natterjack and today's date. Fuck you all. Basically, I don't remember names, so what I'd like to say, you should say, you wear glasses, you must be able to write. There is a Sharpie. So like, important things like a character name, a place, that kind of thing. If you could write them in a hand that is better than mine, that would be enormous. And if you don't, well, I guess you'll have no characters or recurring information in the story. It's all on you! It's all on you! But I do need two other people to read. The books that I've chosen for this are one, the Ladybird book, Exploring Space, which is a big fan of that when I was a kid in the 80s, and also the 2008 yearbook of the Orpington Club, which celebrates 25 years of continuous publication of their tedious fucking magazine about chickens. So those are our textual sources for this story. So I need some volunteers. Who would like to? Gentleman in the hat, yes, all right. You get Exploring Space, and gentleman who's not in a hat, gets the Orpington Club. Aww. So what I'm going to want from these is, I'm going to want you to be ready the whole time. Like short phrases, like a few words, names, that kind of thing. You don't need to worry too much about whether it fits with what I'm saying. That's very much my problem, but I will find you later. Yeah, those are probably all the important things we need. So, we all like stories, right?
Yes!
That wasn't unanimous, which worries me in some respects, but no, that's okay. Now, I'm not going to pick a specific genre, but if there are a couple of genres that you would like to see represented in a story, what kind of stories do you like?
Crime.
Fantasy.
Hope, punk, crime, fancy, ghost. My I do love a bang in a big skirt. That's great. All right, historical romance. Fantasy, I heard crime. Do I get crime a lot for this?
Cozy crime.
Cozy crime. Hope, yeah, all right, hope punk down. It's the opposite of grimdark, which just means it's not Warhammer, which is fine. Okay, cool. Those are probably about things to eat. Shall we also have a year? Let's have a year to begin in. A year between forever ago and forever in the future.
2008.
2008. Strong year. I don't think I remember it. What are three things that happened in 2008 then? Man who says 2008 very confidently?
Stock market. When Lady Gaga started.
Lady Gaga? Well, she's a person. Good. Gaga was the back? Was that also
The
Gaga?
housing market crash.
The housing market crash. Oh, this is going to be a cool story. Housing market crash. The Lehman. Oh, yeah. More details. Total pricks. Good. No, all right, that's fine. The iPhone came out. Well, that's a terrible fucking technology, but yes, iPhone, Olympics, that's more information I will ever come back to. That is plenty. Probably chickens existed too. Good. Year is 2008. Anything else? No, fuck it. I'd like to be able to see that. Wonderful. Oh my goodness, you wrote. I might have chosen the wrong person. We're good. Very good.
I don't know how much you needed.
The great thing is when people take part. All right, good. 2008, late evening. A fog had rolled in from off the sea. You know how it does. It lives at sea fog, basically, because the sea is made of water. And it's a marriage between the water and the sky that produces fog. Beautiful water bubble babies that drift down from the clouds onto the sea and slowly drift ashore in a very atmospheric and worrying way. Or it was worrying if you weren't expecting fog. If you've been expecting fog, this was a normal thing. However, it had been 63 years since we last saw fog on the British Isles. It had been an uncannily sunny time. Since the Second World War, life has been good. The sunshine has shone on us. Everyone is happy. Nothing bad can ever happen ever again. It is 2008. That's an alarming premonition. And I can't do counting. These things are fine. Suddenly,
White and blue Orpingtons.
white and blue Orpingtons emerged from the fog, like velociraptors because they are basically the same thing, just very small. They have beautiful feathers at their ankles and where their ear holes are. I don't know how chickens work. I assume they must have some kind of ears. They have ear holes that you can reach all the way inside of, tickle their brain, and then take your hand back out, and then it just goes on its merry way. So chicken doesn't have much brain, doesn't need it. The Orpingtons emerged from the fog. They were tall. They were
backward firing jets.
They were backward firing. You see, there is every reason to be concerned about the fog when the fog contains such brutish chicken rear-firing jet monsters. You see, 2008 also notable for being one of the installments of Michael Bay's Transformers the movie series. They'd been hiding in the fog, cloaked, and since dawn that very day. So it's quite a long day, really, just hang around in fog, which is not great since it's mostly water. Anything made of metal will rust. So, two rusty chickens emerged onto the shore. They're quite dangerous, but they're not necessarily too big of a problem. The local pub, which was named
Miss Carey Taunton.
Miss Carey Toynton, a charming little place, named after the 16th century maitre d' of a small village restaurant, which was called
Several small combustion chambers.
It wasn't the most exciting of towns, but they were very proud of their combustion engines. Several hundred years before combustion engines really rocked up. This, in its time, was a village that overshadowed all the rest of the UK. It had a name, because we need names so that Matt can write them down. The name of this village was
Anderton Trophy.
Anderton Trophy. Anderton Trophy, a small village, generally masked from the rest of the world by fog. This is why the last 60 odd years have been quite problematic. Anderton Trophy had, in its time, developed combustion engines far ahead of the Industrial Revolution. They had, in fact, incepted the idea of transformers. And as from a very early age, in the mid-17th century, once they'd mastered the extra metallurgy and things required, began to construct transformers that would dwell offshore, ready to cuckoo, which is where they kill you and sleep in your bed and your parents think they're you. Guys, cuckoos! Wasn't going to be very complicated. There was, of course, Cuckotron, who was a gigantic robotic cuckoo. We'll come back to him later. Please write his name down so I don't forget it, because I quite like Cuckotron. Anyway, the lovely pub of Anderton Trophy, the lovely village of Anderton Trophy, with a lovely pub which Matt didn't write the name down, so we'll never know it again. Alas, which stood closest to the shore, and this is your responsibility, man. You've got multiple jobs. Yeah. Perfect. So, the small pub which had the name Mrs. Thingamajig. Yeah, look back to the page that you
Miss Carey Taunton.
Miss Carey Toynton. Miss Carey Toynton, a lovely pub they've been with, and obviously been open since dawn because it's that kind of village. People have been drinking heavily. The fog had rolled in, the monsters had emerged from the fog. The first they knew of the creatures emerging from the fog was a sudden
burning of the gas beneath the rocket.
fuck! Sudden burning of the gas beneath the rocket. For you see, the pub had long been converted into a space-traversing vehicle. The people who were in the pub weren't necessarily ready for this. Bob, who tended sheep or does whatever farmers do, was standing by the bar at the time. He was startled by the rumble underfoot, the feel and the smell of gas igniting, and he cried,
Body like the earth.
"Body like the earth!" And I was like, "Yeah, baby, yeah you are. Yes, that's right, Bob. You are round and perfect. You have continents, masses of skin cracking and drifting across your skin while you're doing it. Rivers and oceans of pus ooze forth." Let's be clear, no one really liked Bob. Bob was problematic, but an important character and part of the village life. So he was the one who noticed first off the pub was going to take off at some point. No one had yet spotted the terrifying Orpingtons emerging from the cloud-shrouded fog bank. So,
Sir Isaac Newton.
Sir Isaac Newton, Bob's only true friend, entered the pub at about this time. There's a 2 whiskey chasers and a pint of plum, please, is what he ordered from the bar. Those were actually set up for him eating, but he got an extra drink. He got a
Sandy Hildreth.
Sandy Hildreth, which is as good as it sounds. It is a slurry of granulated sugar with 3 shots of gin added. It is, if you haven't tried it, near perfect. Please add that to the list. Most certainly drink it later. Isaac, you can approach his dear friend Bob, the crusted one. He said, "Bob, wonderful news! We're going into space." Because Isaac obviously recognised the telltale signs of the spaceship about to become ready for transit. He also looked, as you're about to drink.
Ever fallen off a bicycle?
Ever fallen off a bicycle, Bob? Bob said, "No, I look like a man who rides a bicycle. I didn't envelop it." Isaac said, "Yeah, I wasn't trying to be funny. That's okay. But if you've ever fallen off a bicycle, you'd be prepared for what's about to happen. You see, this is an old pub from the 17th century. Although we've fitted it with rockets, we've done nothing to seal it, or make any other preparations to make it suitable for travelling into the atmosphere, or indeed space. So what's going to happen is going to be quite a lot like falling off a bike, in the sense that you just get back on again and keep going." And so this was how the pub would take off. And we'll go into the details of exactly the lift-off procedure. Well, probably now. First,
The rifle kicks back against our shoulder.
the rifle kicked back. Was it the shoulder? Did you say?
Our shoulder.
Oh, our shoulder. Oh, that's, I just think I'm very Yorkshire. We're going to fix that. First off, rifle kick back very hard about our shoulder. Bob said, recognising the sensation of a rifle kicking back against his shoulder. This was the initial shaking of the pub walls. All the glasses immediately fell to the floor and were shattered. This was disappointing for everybody, but particularly Isaac, who hadn't yet had both of his chasers. Many things were broken. There was a lot of liquid. The second thing that happened was
Long dark winter nights.
long, dark winter nights began! I don't think I mentioned exactly what time of the year it was, but it was, surprisingly enough, late October. Long winter nights were indeed back in, not just in fashion, but in the sky, which is where days and nights really belong. So, night that's stage 2 of a pub taking flight. Step 3 is the very obvious and natural
Guy Fawkes rockets.
Guy Fawkes rockets, named because they blow your home to kingdom come. The pub detonated in one sweet, beautiful explosion, incinerating both Bob and Sir Isaac. Technically, this could be the end of our story, but we've still got 12 and a half minutes. And we haven't returned to the Orpingtons. The Orpingtons observed this with both trepidation and curiosity, looking up at a 17th century building, rising maybe 15 feet in the air before exploding. It was a surprise. It wasn't what they expected. Let's put it that way. They summoned forth from the fog Cucuatron, who, with an enormous clanging of his giant iron feet, gripped onto the cliff and hauled himself up, which is quite hard for a bird. Think of a bird hauling itself up onto a surface with its feet. It's got to approach that surface basically upside down. So he approached it backwards with his feet, clawed around the edge, and then with extraordinary calf power, just remarkable hydraulics, depending on how you look at it, just hauled himself for 480 degrees and gently stood on the cliff surface, looked around and said,
Home of the old Greek gods.
"Oh, the old Greek gods, this! Do you remember them?" The Orpingtons looked at him like he was mad. Oh, no, we don't. So Hermes here. There's no the other ones. None of those are here. None of the Greek gods apart from Hermes, who might be the Roman version. No, it's Greek. Yes! Oh my God! In that case, we also have Poseidon.
Yes.
Either way, they're not here, are they? What are you talking about, Cucuatron? It seems like you've had a.
Some of the above problems.
Some of the above problems. He said, pointing at the dissipating cloud. Yeah. I don't very often feel solidarity with a building, but I do right now. See, Cucuatron's history is long and complex. We can only go into fragmentary details of it now in order to understand his psychological mental state at this point. You see, Cucuatron had been born in
1,000 years ago.
1,000 years ago, before they started building people in this village, he was the transformer. He was the original, the thing that had lain beneath the earth, made out of, well, presumably rusted metal, because it's been in the earth. It's not going to be good for it, is it? Or crude alloys, partly mixed with granite and other shitty rocks that make stone and metal less good. That was one detail about his life. Maybe let's have a second. He was also
Her Majesty the Queen Mother.
He was also Her Majesty the Queen Mother. You see, Kurtron had been wearing a skin suit for some time. He'd been a robot in disguise, if you will. That's a legit thing. You fucking awe me. Kurtron had been hiding down in Windsor Castle for some time. He'd been there since before the Queen Mother actually turned up. And once she was born, he was able to very swiftly, just with a quick nip of the scissors, take her skin and wear them for himself, while he enjoyed a drinky sandy hill cliff. Oh, it says drink, a sandy hill cliff, which is also Kurtron's favourite drink. He had many a tipple like that in Windsor Castle. He had a pretty fine time until he was summoned through time and space by the arrival of the Orpingtons. The Orpingtons' plan, which we should get to, is
Come into the reckoning.
their plan, which we should come to, is come into the reckoning. They concluded it was time for a reckoning, time for a decision-making triumph. There were two key species on Earth. There were the Orpingtons and there was mankind. Mankind had demonstrated their capacity for intelligence and skill with an exploding pug. The Orpingtons, on the other hand, had merely climbed onto the shore. They might be the ones that were going to win. The Orpingtons had one important weapon that they would use. It was called
The powerful rocket weapon.
it was called the powerful rocket weapon. They were not imaginative, but they accurately described a rocket which was a weapon and was powerful. They carried it between them, a little bit like you'd carry a stretcher in a World War I movie where you didn't have a second person to carry the stretcher. So the back half of the stretcher just dragging in the mud. That's what was happening. They dragged their rocket-propelled super rocket thing, the powerful rocket weapon, onto the shore. And their plan had been to, subsume the locals. The locals had done that for themselves. It was a bit of a problem for the Orpingtons. It's like, we need to. That's step one. Step two is kind of irrelevant. We won't go into the details of that. Step three of our great plan was to
Wonderful longevity, stamina, and physical soundness.
was to long for longevity, stamina, and physical soundness. These are reasonable goals for a living creature. A living creature that wants to take over the world. The Orpingtons were those creatures. They wanted stamina. They'd go onto the cliff. The Kurtron looked like he was very strong carbs. It was most impressive. And together, they could probably, do a decent job of running the earth if they needed to. From above, in the dissipating cloud of brick dust, glass, horrible soaked carpet pieces, came a thin voice, and that voice said,
It caused terrible loss of life and destruction to our cities.
It caused destruction and terrible loss of life to our cities. It was, in fact, the ghost of Sir Isaac Newton. Vaporised in body, but not in spirit. No, that rose up through the brick dust, despite the cackling occurring in the back. It was fine. Isaac Newton actually discovered in this process that he understood a lot more about the way the world worked. He'd been trapped in a horrible anti-dualistic, materialistic mindset. Like everything is about apples falling off trees and gravity and things that fly upwards, fly downwards, outwards, roundwards. But now he was free. He could see the truth of the world. And the truth of the world can be contained in 3 words.
One is alcohol.
What is alcohol? Is it a thing from a fermented plant that just turns sugar into something more special? Or is it actually a way of connecting? Thank you, that is cider. Or is it in fact a way of connecting with the deeper spiritual part of the universe? Maybe. Maybe we'll find out. Sir Isaac Newton brought himself downwards through the cloud of dissipating brick dust and glass and beer mats and other ephemera that you might find in a pub. There's probably more. He drifted down and he landed on top of one of the Orpingtons. That Orpington said, "Too big! Too big! Too big! Too much soul! I've already got a soul!" But Isaac squeezed his way through the beautiful plume of the Orpington, inside its body, into its mind, taking up extra space. Orpingtons, we know, have very small brains. There's not a lot of room for a second soul in there. Isaac Newton had been reborn as a robot chicken. He stood jerkily under the dissipating cloud of brick dust and other awful things. I am Sir Isaac Newton! I will rule this world! I have the powerful rocket weapon! I now have longevity, power and physical stamina! Oh my god, this is everything I wanted! I thought I just wanted to be wise, look through a telescope, eat an apple, but no, there's more to life! There's destruction! Infinite potential in these metal and feather wings! My god! The other Orpington looked at him like he'd gone mental. This was all in his head. He'd spoken none of it aloud. He'd just thrust and pouted and done weird muscular exercises. The other Orpington was a bit freaked out and he tapped his friend on the shoulder and cried.
The pull of gravity depends on our size.
Yes! The pull of gravity depends on our size! I said, yes! You're right! You understand! Chickens were the answer the whole time! If I hadn't just wasted my time drinking under an orchard, I could have found the truth of gravity. You, a robo-chicken, you have the answers. You, me and you, my friend, we're going to do good things. First up, we're going to...
When we come back off the bacon butties.
After we come back from bacon butties, first up is...
My blue or bantam cock Big D.
My blue or bantam cock Big D, which is my serial number, as you would imagine. He should proudly show off his Big D to Sir Isaac Newton. And Isaac was impressed. He had not seen a Big D or a blue bantam for some time. But he assured him that this is going to be okay. And Sir Isaac Newton pushed forth a tiny bit of his spirit into the other chicken, taking over its brain also. That chicken suffered a kind of a fit which can only be described as...
Escape velocity.
Escape! He vanished into the distance, so shocked by the mere touch of spirit that he, he was gone. He was gone. There's one Orpington left. His name is Sir Isaac Newton, and he's got a gigantic cucuatron who might be having some kind of a mental breakdown right next to him. You know what, said Sir Isaac, I just need to establish some basic facts. I am Sir Isaac Newton. You are...
One of Hen Burke's females.
Hen Burke's?
One of Hen Burke's females.
You're one of Hen Burke's females! Yes! Said the other Orpington. Yes, I am. Hen Burke is the chief of our order of transforming robotic chickens, and she has dictated we go forth to do the murdering and the ravaging and the rampaging. Great, right, that's one undefeatable truth. I also need to know what your favourite food is. Mars! Cried the other Orpington. You are ambitious, said Sir Isaac Newton. Yes, I like your ambition. After we've had bacon butties, we will take Earth. Then we will take Mars. Then we'll move on to other planets in the solar system, such as...
Lucy and Nick's 2008 breeding trio.
Such as Lucy and Nick's 2008 breeding trio. Jupiter and Io. One's very big, the other's quite small, but they bang all the time. Just popping out new planets here, there, and everywhere. You see that moon? That's one of theirs. Yep, they just banged for a while and popped out through its great eye. I don't think I like that combination of words. Oh well, not to worry, said Sir Isaac Newton. That will be one of our destinations. You and I and Cucuatron will abandon this planet full of people who blow up their own buildings without any thought or regard for what's going on. You and I will go into space. We didn't include a crime part to this drama, did we? No. We will go into space. There, we will have chicken robot babies together. Because I foresee there is a future for you and I in space. A future where you are...
A fiery blue speck.
A fiery blue speck! And I, glorious, am...
Providing a trophy.
Providing a trophy! I will reward you for every action you undertake, no matter how trivial. No matter how weak you are, I will give you a medal. No matter how much you fail me, I will have a certificate for your competence ready to give you. I will build you up, inspire you. Together we will conquer the galaxy. But first, we will make love. The Orpington sighed and said,
We will need material strong enough.
We will need material strong enough. Isaac Newton cocked a chicken eye around and said, I like you. Let's go get some nesting shit. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our story.